It's a pretty sad state of affairs, especially when you're in there slaving away 5 days every single week. You do not miss. It's all you think about. That you're actually someone that a big part of your identity is the gym. People in your work know you as the gym bunny, yet you look in the mirror and you hate to admit it, but you do not look like someone that goes to the gym. I get it because I was there myself. I was there for years, right? And I'm going to dive in to the top 3 areas why so many people are in this predicament. And I speak to so many clients about it and people that are inquiring about working with us as well. People who say things like, my problem is just this, it's just that. And I want to unpick this a little bit and dive into it. But before we get into that, I need you to do me a massive favor. I need you to please hit subscribe to the channel. I know that a lot of you are watching this have came across me through other videos, or you maybe actually been following my content, you actually really enjoy it, but you've just not subscribed. So please, I am putting so much energy into this and I would absolutely love if you could hit subscribe. So take 2 seconds to do that for me. It will take you no effort and it'll be hugely appreciated. So thank you very much. So let's dive into the top 3 areas where I see so many people go wrong and just do not look like someone who actually trains a lot. So the first one is obviously nutrition. Now, nutrition is a big, big topic. If you go back to my podcast with my old coach, Dan Reeves, he said something that always stuck with me. He's like, nutrition is a minefield. He's like, it's a minefield. Now, this isn't to sway anyone away or say that you can't make progress, but what he was referring to in that is that it's such a complex thing. There's emotion, there's a relationship with food. And a lot of people, where they're actually going wrong, is that they're trying to oversimplify a pretty complex topic. They're trying to just make it about calories, just about macros, and it's so much deeper than that. Now, it's not to say that those things are not important. Fundamentally, you need to be hitting your calories and macros consistently to see results, right? Give or take, you can be like 10% out, do you know what I mean? Like nothing's 100%. But you need to just be like more optimal than non-optimal. That's it, right, in a nutshell. But people just make it like it's about that and they don't really acknowledge the deep-rooted stuff. Now, we're going to dive a little bit deeper here and this may like get folk to think a little bit, and the reason why folk don't think about this stuff is because it is uncomfortable. How you have been brought up is ultimately what has shaped who you are as a person, right? So your family, your friends, like essentially that generational thinking is passed down to you, whether you want to believe it or not. It's just a thing, right? So if your family are non-athletic, everything's centered around food, everything's quite greedy, gluttonous, there's a lot of people in your family that are overweight, it's not that the fat gene is in your family, it's that a way of thinking is in your family that's probably going to be passed on to you. And I see it quite a lot. Me and Ailey will see it, and I see it with like maybe like a family and they're out for dinner and maybe the parents are quite overweight and I see the kid across from him, he's sat on his phone and it's a guy or a girl and you're just like, oh man, I can see the kids starting to be a bit overweight and a bit out of shape, and it's like, it's a shame because they don't even know what's happening because it's happening so subliminally, but they are just passing on who they are to them. Like how you behave essentially is creating like a subconscious imprint on everyone around you, whether you like it or not, right? And I think about this in business all the time, especially right now as we're starting to grow a team. We've got a team in the background with marketing, editing, but I've now got a coaching team, me, Ailey and Carly. And I'm like, I need to really, really step into this role now because if I just keep acting like the guy that does everything on his own, then that's going to influence the other people. If I'm flaky about things, if I'm emotional about things, if I'm not keeping my head on and keeping switched on with dealing with things, then I'm going to start to tolerate that, and so will my team. And this is the thought process that folk just do not have, and it's because we don't know, and we're not taught these things. This is stuff that you figure out the more you start to develop yourself. But ultimately, if someone is not trying to be better, they're getting worse. That's it. You're only growing, or you're dying. That's it, right? Now, if you have parents, friends, family that are not trying to better themselves, improve themselves, and they're tolerating a lot of low-level behaviours, chances are you're probably going to end up tolerating them as well. Now, the thing about food, if you're from a family where life's centred around food, like a lot of people, I'm a foodie, love good food. I was brought up like this as well, by the way. I was shown love in food. I was rewarded in food. Think about that for a second. Think about when you're a kid and you're sad and you're handed food to cheer up. Think about when you're a child and it's your birthday and you go out for a meal to celebrate or you get a takeaway. Think about when you're elated with someone or something that happens, or it's a birthday and you're rewarded with all this food, junk food, sweetie, crisps, all your favourite sugary drinks. Think about what that's doing internally, right? And I know it's done out of a place of love. I know it's not done to sabotage you or trash you, but this just means that you end up becoming this person that has built a reward center internally that revolves around food. Are you sad? Eat food. Are you happy? Eat food. Are you excited? Eat food. Is it a big celebration? Eat food. It's the same with alcohol as well. Being Scottish is something I've really noticed. Like, as soon as there's a big celebration, a wedding, an event, for years I felt this need to drink after it, and it's because it was built into our brains without even realising. So the big thing that you need to understand is that, like, it's not as straightforward as just tracking your calories. Yes, of course, tracking your macros, following like a plan is 100% going to get you the results. But if you're not acknowledging deeper rooted stuff and you're just trying to pass it off as it's just about this stuff on the surface, you're not going to make the progress you want to make. And actually, you can end up staying in the same position. And this is different for every person, by the way, because some people, depending on how you're brought up, it's not going to be as hard as for them. And that is the unfortunate truth, guys, right? If you're sitting there going, you maybe got a partner, and you're both in a fitness journey, and you're like, we've both got into this at the same amount of time, the same timeline, like they didn't train, I didn't train, but everything's a lot easier for them. They were brought up differently to you. They had a different upbringing, they have a different belief system, and it's just hard. Like, I think back to like when I was like starting out and I was starting to like track food a lot more, and I remember like being so ashamed about saying it, but I found it so hard. I found it so hard to stick to it because I had this wee monkey in my shoulder that was always like, just eat that, just eat that, just eat that. But then actually I started to acknowledge it, and I was like, well, I was brought up and rewarded in food all the time, so of course I'm going to have that type of relationship with food. Now, how did it change? It changed through acknowledging it. It changed through understanding that it was a process. It changed because I committed to such a long game. And the more I started to stack evidence and the more I started to stack awareness, the more I put myself in different environments. Even when me and Aileen moved in with each other, that was a huge pivotal moment for me because we had our own space. We had our own home. We prepared our own food. Even Ailey's had a huge impact on how I think around food because of her belief system around food. Same vice versa. I've made her more open. She's made me more dialed in. Like, we've transferred this over. So it's not one thing in particular, guys, but see, when you just keep making it about fucking calories and macros, I just need a plan. This is my problem. I just need calories. I just need this. See, if you think you need something, yet you have never achieved the results that you've wanted, but you're under the illusion that you just need this thing. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity, guys, right? So nutrition, not acknowledging deeper rooted things and actually trying to make it way more simple than it actually is. That's the biggest one right there. And that's why folk don't see the change. So like, I'm training, I'm going to the gym. It's not enough to see compositional changes. Yeah, you build muscle, you get stronger, fitter, faster. But if you want to get leaner and get rid of the fat, you need to be in control of your nutrition. And it's a process, guys. It is a process, but you need to lean into that process and stop just making it so surface level and stop trying to play so small. Number 2 is training progressively. Now, everyone is starting to become more aware of progressive overload. They're like, yeah, progressive overload, lift more weights. Now, a lot of people are going very, very wrong when it comes to progressive overload. And what I mean by this is that they're just focusing on the weight. Now, you're like, what do you mean, Christian? You're just focusing on the weight? Progressive overload is doing things more and doing it consistently more. I have seen people literally not miss with their running, not miss with their training, and I have watched them get more unfit, right? I've watched them not progress. I've watched them stay the same. There is such a thing as just doing a load of junk volume. You can be doing a large volume of training. You might even be training like 6 or 8 hours a week. And you're like, why am I not seeing progress? Why am I not getting stronger? Because the majority of what you're doing is just not up to the standard that it needs to be. You're maybe operating at like 90%, 100%, 20% of the time, 10% of the time. But to see the type of progress that you actually want to see, you need to be operating like that with your training all of the time. You're not going to be 100% all the time, by the way, and there's going to be some sessions where you don't feel as strong, as fit, but your effort needs to be 100% all the time. It can't be 50% all the time. It can't be this ticking boxes. Like, I was having this chat yesterday with a couple of guys that actually coached that are coaches, and we were talking about relatability and when people are being overly relatable and in the sense of like, oh yeah, like I found that session really hard today. And it's like, right, you're going to get that, but like the lion's share of your sessions can't be in this ticky boxy mentality. You need to be like getting in and getting after it. Like this week, like between us, like it sounds like I've got my little violin out, right? But last weekend we had Hyrox on. Weekend before that, we were doing our event. Weekend before that, we were basically in Germany for Hyrox. Weekend before that, we were traveling. We have not stopped. And on top of that, I've been experiencing a bit of jet lag for the last couple of weeks. I'm more in the routine now. We've been in different spaces and environments. We've moved quite a few times. My drive to get up in the morning and train is just not there. Plus, we've hired a full-time member of staff. I'm building out the team in the background. And last night, I was like, I've got a strength conditioning workout and a 60-minute AMRAP to do. I really do not want to do this. And I went and done it. And I finished at 9 o'clock at night. Because ultimately, there is going to be times where you have to push, you have to pull, you have to compromise some efforts. And you know what? I went in, had a fucking great session. I felt great in my body. I felt strong. I felt fit. And I pushed my fitness. People just don't get that. Now, I could have went in there and just boxed that off, right? And it might have been like a lower effort and stuff. But to really push fitness and physique to the level that you want, the gap of what's actually required and what you are doing is just way too big. And a lot of people think because they've been in, they've ticked that off or they've just boxed that off, then that is enough. It's not. Fitness and strength needs to be pushed. It needs to be taken to going forward. And people just, there's a big transition that people go through when they train the exercise where like, someone who exercises is someone that just like they're in and all they're really focusing on is like ticking the session off. They don't really care about what they do. Then there's a transition where someone moves into someone that trains so that they're following a plan, they're following structure. They have set days where they focus on upper body, lower body, sprint work, long distance, whatever that is what the person's doing, training towards the modality, they're following a structure and they're overloading it, they're progressing it. But then there's a third category, peak performance. People just float in this training part and they think that's enough. They think ticking the boxes, following the plan's enough. It's not. You need to be pushing it. You need to be chasing progress. And I'm telling you, when you are in the flow of doing that, it becomes addictive and everything just starts to make sense. And see, when you start seeing like huge amounts of progress in your training, it just starts to radiate into your nutrition, into your movement, into your personal development. You want to be better than other areas because you understand the effort of doing hard work. You understand turning up and really pushing when you don't want to do it. And it starts just oozing into other areas, your nighttime routines. Because you're seeing great amounts of progress with your training, you then start to go, do you know what? Like, I want to actually really focus on getting to bed earlier right now. And I want to really start winning my morning more than what I am right now. My mornings are good, but do you know what? I actually want to get up a little bit earlier and crush a walk-in as well as my workout because I really feel liberated right now. That's what happens when you really start pushing great amounts of intensity in the gym. It oozes into every other areas. And for a lot of people, they're just ticking boxes and it's not enough. It's not enough, guys. Like, ticking boxes is all right sometimes, but see if you're in this mindset, like, you're always like, I'm slogging through train right now, but it's a win, I got it done. It's like, yeah, it's all right sometimes, but that mentality is going to keep you in the same spot. So that's the second one, is that you're not actually overloading, even though you think you're overloading. You're really, really not. And then lastly is that you're not actually following enough of structure to generate the required momentum to do what you're doing. Now, your week, like the week I've had this week's been a wee bit here, there and everywhere. Training's been at different times that I wouldn't usually do it. As I said already, that is allowed time from time. If I continue doing this, would this allow me to continue at the rate that I want to progress? No, it wouldn't. Because I would start to miss a lot of things. I would start to not have the same ritual and routine. Something I say to our clients when they come into the program, we build out their blueprint and their PDF and we give it to them. One of the things at the top of the part when it comes to when they're planning out their week, what their day looks like, what their morning looks like, when their training is, what time they're going to be training, when they're doing their food shop, all these things. I basically say to them, ritual is a performance enhancing drug. Now, you can tell yourself, and this is where ownership comes into it. You can tell yourself all the time, I am doing that. I am getting to the gym. I am hitting my activity. But there's a difference between doing it and doing it. And for a lot of people, they're just a bit all over the place. They've got no real structure. And as a result of that, they're not gaining momentum. Now, when you have ritual in place, like I said already, with the training intensities there, it just becomes very evident, not to other people, to yourself. You start to understand the power in actually having ritual. You start to understand the power of delayed gratification. Our brains are very smart, by the way, and I always say that we're like dogs because we're like creatures of habit, right? We do a lot of the same things over and over. But when you are in a really solid routine and you're following a plan and you've got big goals and you've got a good support network around you as well, it just becomes so hard to fail. Because you're just so locked in. And this is a term that's getting thrown about a lot more right now about being locked in. And I get it. It makes a lot of sense. Being locked into your rituals and your routines, like, it needs to be there. So the big thing is that, like, you will be missing if you do not have a solid ritual and routine. If your mornings are not alike, your evenings are not alike, the time in which you train is not alike, you're going to be losing energy. There's going to be some days that are better than others. And what we are trying to do to achieve great results and progress is we want to just have more optimal days than non-optimal days. And like I mentioned already, there is times like the ticky box times where you just have to do it and you get it done. Like last night where I was like training in the morning, but my session was last night. I had to go meet some of my clients in the morning. My train was at 7:30. The gym opened at 6 and I was like, I've got a 2-hour session. I'm not going to be able to get that done. So it was later in the day. So there is times where this happens and you just have to do it. And sometimes you have to compromise some of the things, your boundaries, the time that you train, the time that you eat. That's absolutely fine. I didn't eat till quite late last night, but that's not a forever thing. However, if you do that all the time, but you're telling yourself and you're justifying your actions because you are training, because I could easily say, yeah, guys, I've had a great week because like I got everything done. Yeah, I get everything done, but was it the way that I liked it to be done? No, it wasn't. Why is it that I like things to be done that way? Because it helps me with productivity. It helps me give me clarity with my mental health. It makes me feel in control. When I don't do that, I don't feel as in control. When I'm not as in control, I'm going to be missing a beat in other areas. So the thing that you need to remember is that the success is in the flow and the ritual of doing the thing. And when you're in a ritual, you gather momentum, and that momentum just oozes into other areas rather than being ad hoc. So stop trying to like do it in a way that you're just firing from the hip and you're just trying, it's like just like going everywhere. Like do it in a way that's structured, that's set, because I'm telling you, there is so much success in that. And what you'll find is when it's a bit all over the place, you start to tolerate lower standards with your nutrition, lower standards with your energy, lower standards with your sleep. And then when these things start to go, so does the body. So you can be telling yourself, I've trained 5 times this week. Why have I not lost any weight? I've hit my steps. Why have I not lost any weight? Well, why have I not seen the change? It's not just about weight loss, but the point I'm trying to get in this episode is that the reason why you're not seeing the results in your body that you want is because of these 3 reasons. That the depth that went into with your nutrition, you're not actually progressively overloading or training hard enough. And then number 3, actually, you're not doing it in a structured way that's allowing you to get the momentum that you know you actually need to see the progress that you want. So yes, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you took a lot away from it. As always, please leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you are obviously interested in working it with us as well, you can obviously lock in for a call down there as well. And please subscribe to the channel. I know I've mentioned it already, but I really love if you could do that for me. Anyway, guys, see you later. Goodbye.